Yeah, wanted to let folks in the riding know that after 20 and a half years of being the representative, the MPP for Parry Sound-Muskoka, that I have decided to retire from public life at the next election. So I will be the MPP until I think it's about May, when the writ is dropped, and but at that point we'll be retiring from public life. And it's been a real honor for me to be the MPP the past over 20 years. But it's just, for me, I think it's just time after that length of time to bring some fresh blood in and fresh ideas and move on to having some time to spend with family and do some of the fun things that you can do around Parry Sound-Muskoka going forward.
This is big news, and I have a lot of questions, Norm. I'm going to start out with just again, what led to this decision, I guess, to finally decide to step back?
More just that, it will be 21 years. Mm-hmm. And when you're elected, and I knew this going in, having shared an apartment with my father when he was the MPP, you're away about 100 days a year away from your home. And as I say, I knew that going in, but after 21 years, that's a lot of time away from home. And I've been working, I think, for 46 years straight, so it'd be nice to, and I have too many interests and family, grandkids, 4 grandkids on the way that are looking forward to spending time with, a daughter that's in England that we're looking forward to visit, and so it's just time. And if I ran in the next election, I turned 65 this past January, I'd be 70 at the end of a 4-year commitment.
Wow.
And so I think it's the right time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time as MPP and found it to be a great honor, but I think it's the right time.
I'm just wondering too if part of this is, throughout most of your career you were in opposition. This is the opportunity you finally had to be in the party that was in power. Was that kind of a swan song moment for you as well to have that?
Oh, I thought one of the questions you would ask would be what are your regrets? And so I was thinking about the response to regrets, and I'd say if I had a regret, it would be that I wish it was at least 50-50 government opposition, that the majority of the time I spent was in opposition, and it is definitely better being in government, no question about it, and you're able to have much, affect change much better. So that would be my one regret, along with the fact that part of the reason I was in opposition longer was I helped recruit John Tory as leader of the party, and I was disappointed he didn't become premier. I thought he was well positioned to do so and should have been, mm-hmm. but he made a couple strategic gaffes along the way, I would say, so that he didn't get that position. But so that would be it. It's great to experience opposition, but it would have been nice if it was kind of 50-50, not 80-20 sort of thing.
Well, again, a good note to end off on, it being, in a sort of saying goodbye after being in a position that you were able to get more done with the party that was in power, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really happy to have experienced being in government at the end of my time as MPP.
Just expanding on that, since we were just talking about regrets, what I guess would be your most positive moments in your career?
Yeah, I think some of the things, like finally after 20 years having funding for our hospitals across the riding where they're sustainable, and Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare's predicting for the next 5 years that they'll have a balanced budget. That is huge. I mean, healthcare is the biggest expenditure of the provincial government. It affects everyone. Mm-hmm. So I'm very proud of that. I'm happy to see projects like Fairburn about to be built, and I'm very proud of the fact that there's going to be a pool. I think I played a role in the fact that there will be a pool and center over in Parry Sound that took a lot of work getting all the municipalities to agree with. I'm proud of things like the fact that the airport in Parry Sound is getting a new runway built and extended and providing business opportunities there at the airport. And also some of the private members' bills I was involved with. I think I had quite an effect in terms of some of the environmental bills, most recently getting passed in a lot of the Keeping Polystyrene Out of Ontario's Lakes and Rivers Act. But also, I had a private member's bill on LCBO deposit return before it was actually a fact that you could take your wine bottles back to the LCBO. I had a product stewardship bill, which is just now being put into place, where the manufacturers and creators of waste will be fully responsible for the cost of it. And that's kind of mid-stage right now. So some of those private members' bills, and I'm not done yet. We're working on one to do with kids' life jackets right now, and I've got my OLIP intern working hard on that, and we're in the process of consulting with all the groups about that at this time. So as I drive around and see more and more paved shoulders, I think I had a definite direct role playing in that, having debated and passed a bill requiring paved shoulders on provincial highways a few times in the legislature. So now I'm, Highway 124 northeast of Parry Sound the section is being rebuilt. We'll have paved shoulders. The new highway going to Killbear Provincial Park will have paved shoulders there as well. And that is happening right across the province. So I think that is something I can look at and say I had played a definite direct role.
Yeah, I think looking back in your retired life, you can definitely be happy to see some of these positive, marks you've made. So speaking of retired life, next year and moving into the summer, you'll be a free man from public work. What are the next steps for you and your wife and your kids and your grandkids?
Yeah, well, we hope to have lots of good quality time with our currently 4 grandkids. Hopefully they'll come up to visit. They live in Fergus, Ontario, but hopefully they like coming up to see Oma and Granddad a bit. And as I mentioned, our daughter Renee lives in England and has just bought a house, a 400-year-old house in the Cotswolds with Renee and Rosie, and we have yet to see it, so hopefully we get to go see their home there. And I have more interest than I have time to do. So, and as I say, I've been working pretty much 46 years straight, I think. So there's no shortage of things that I like to. I was last in New Zealand over the winter of 1979-80, and I have relatives that live there who have come to visit. And the last time my relatives visited, they were about 70, and they said, "When are you coming to visit? If you don't come soon, we'll be dead." So for Jenny and David in New Zealand, hopefully we can make that very long trip down there and see them, preferably in our winter because that's summer in New Zealand. But
yes, exactly. No, that would be ideal.
Yep.
We will have more time to talk about this again because you are in power until next year. But I always like to ask this of anybody who's exiting a position and may have somebody coming in. What would be your words to whoever fills your shoes in this role?
Yeah, as MPP, I would say that the most important thing they could concentrate on is the riding itself, Parry, Sound-Muskoka, and look after that. No matter what might be happening at Queen's Park or what role they might be playing, the most important thing is paying attention to issues, large and small events, et cetera, around the riding. And that's also, I would say, one of the most enjoyable things about the job. I mean, I grew up in Muskoka and didn't really know Parry Sound at all. And over the last 21 years, I've met thousands and thousands of people involved in so many different events and causes and clubs and around the riding, all doing good things. And that's a real pleasure of the job, and it's also a way that you can make a difference. And I'd say it's also one of the most important things about being MPP is looking after the riding itself. So, and the other piece of advice I would give, and I know when I was first elected, Andy Mitchell, who was the Liberal MP at the time, asked to have a meeting with me, and his advice was to me if your spouse or wife wants an appointment, she should have a free direct line to your scheduler, and no matter what she asks, she always gets. Because I guess he had split up with his wife, and that's not that uncommon when you're spending so much time away from home. So not to forget about your family, no matter how important you might think what you're doing is.